Print-on-demand marketplaces are dying, and for those of you who know me, you know that I am not a big fan of clickbait videos or clickbait titles. What I am a fan of is statistics, facts, information, things that I can put in graphs after months, and in this case even years, of research to back up what I just said. These marketplaces that we all want to rely on for our print-on-demand success are losing traffic massively. Around September 2024, I had a re-success for my Zazzle series, and in it, I remember I had a video that talked about the Zazzle print-on-demand marketplace's stats and analytics versus other marketplaces like Redbubble or Society6 or Displate. So out of pure statistical curiosity, I went back to that video from May of 2022 to check out the stats for Zazzle and Redbubble and all of these platforms and compare them to the statistics of September of 2024. I'm using SimilarWeb to do that. That is an awesome platform, an awesome tool that costs a buttload of money. I am not paying for that, just the free version. And since September of 2024, I have been keeping track of the statistics of the visits to each and every one of these marketplaces from September till pretty much April of 2025 to be able to give you a wholesome look into what is happening with these platforms. Because comparing April 2022 to September 2024 is not really a good comparison, because we do have times in which people buy less, we do have times in which people buy more. So I really wanted to have this extreme overview on these marketplaces, which I just finished yesterday with the statistics of April 2025, including the spikes for Christmas, which I found to be very interesting. In about a minute or two, I'm going to split the screen in half. Half of it is going to be me, and half of it are going to be graphs that I made with Canva to showcase exactly the difference between the traffic that we've experienced from September of 2024 till April of 2025, including a comparison to April 2022. For each platform that I'm going to display the statistics for, I'm also going to be talking about why I think traffic went down. I think that there are very different reasons for each platform. And I'm also going to be showing you at the end a little bit of an overview with statistics from March of 2025 on the conversion rate of each platform and even the average sale price. I thought that would be interesting as well. And of course, at the end, conclusion for why this is happening and what, as sellers, can we do about it. But before I do that, and in case you don't know, hi everyone, and welcome back to Passive Income with May. I'm May, and on this channel, I share with you guys the things that I do for my passive income, the tools that I'm using, the platforms that I'm using, my techniques, my thought process, and in this case, statistics. We're going to be starting off with the Zazzle print-on-demand marketplace because that was the first one in the video that I mentioned from 2022. And here on the screen, you can see views in millions from September 2024 till April of 2025. We can see that they went from 7 million views in September, dipped a little bit in October, which I feel like is a bit of a surprise because usually October has more viewers or visits than September, but okay. November of 2024, we have 7.3 million visits. December, the highlight of everything, 8.3 million. January 7.1, February 6.4. I think February is considered to be the lowest in most platforms. March with 7.04 million views, and April with 6.42 million. I do have to say that we are not seeing this massive jump when it comes to the holiday season. And actually, as I said, print-on-demand marketplaces are dying. Let's check out this same graph again, but compare it to April 2022. Yes, that's the number in the bottom that says 17 million views. And if you know basic math, you would notice that on the Zazzle print-on-demand marketplace in April of 2022, we have seen double, more than double, the amount of visits in December of 2024. Now, why do I think that is? Why did we go from 17 million views in April 2022 to what, 6.42 million views in 2025, in April of 2025? Well, the site has changed the way that it is designed so many times, and I don't think that sellers are able to keep up. There is a lot of customization options for the sellers on the Zazzle marketplace, like having banners for your collections and organizing your shops in multiple ways. And I don't think that all of the sellers are doing it correctly, which could explain why things look a little bit off. And when things look a little bit off in terms of the site design, that usually means that people are going to visit it less. And I do know that, yes, websites need to keep up with the times, but Zazzle is one of the marketplaces that has actual people designing their own merch, and they had a very, very loyal customer base. And redesigning your website multiple times with a loyal customer base usually means that people are going to drop off. There have also been reports of delays in payments to sellers. There was also the big Zazzle lawsuit when they have used fonts that were not supposed to be for the Zazzle platform, just for normal commercial use. They eventually had to remove these fonts from their system, basically deleting overnight hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of listings. Zazzle in general don't invest as much in advertising and in SEO as other platforms, and the more things change in the SEO world, the more Zazzle find their way to be pushed down. And there is not enough emphasis on affiliate marketing, in my opinion, because I feel like a lot of the promotions don't just come from sellers who promote their store, but also from affiliates. And it's not really emphasized to attract affiliates to affiliate Zazzle. I really think it's important to emphasize the fact that when we're talking about visits and views for a platform, we're not just talking about potential buyers. We are talking about sellers who enter the platform as well to upload new products or to check in their stores. But in Zazzle case, we actually have three types of visitors. We have the sellers who go in to work on their stores. We have the buyers who go in to buy from sellers, and we have the buyers who go into Zazzle because they want to create their own products very easily and they don't need to set up a shop to do so. One of the reasons I think there has also been a decrease in statistics or in visits to Zazzle platform is because more and more sellers are having a very difficult time with the tax form of Zazzle. And it's not just about filling in the tax form, it's also about the fact that if you have a question about the tax form, they get back to you after like 2 months. So a lot of sellers have given up on this platform. And if I'm a seller and I gave up on the platform and I'm not marketing it anymore, it's costing the platform the visits that I would have made and the visits that I would have sent my audience to the platform. Let's split the screen again. We're moving on to Redbubble with September of 2024 marking 19.6 million views. That is more than Zazzle, by the way, in April 2022. We have October with 19.29, almost identical. November with 20.11 million views. December 2024 with 21.98 million views. January 18.22. February 17.5 million views. March 18.17 million views. April 16.76 million views. And definitely this looks better compared to Zazzle, unless you add in the tiny fact that in April 2022, Redbubble had 25 million visits in that month, which is more than what they had 3 years after in December in the peak of their 2024-2025. And for that, we also have some reasons, because I wrote down reasons for all of them. Redbubble implemented the tier system, which pissed off a lot of different sellers. And again, if I'm a seller and I promote my own merch on social media, I am bringing some of the traffic. Hopefully, I'm bringing good traffic that is going to convert, but I'm bringing some of my own traffic. And if I stop selling on Redbubble, I also stop marketing my things on Redbubble. So that traffic is just gone now. And a lot of sellers have left Redbubble because of this tier system. And I remember them even publicly stating, do not buy from Redbubble, which was, hilarious. I do remember the whole phase of the dead bubble and the funny anti-Redbubble merch on Redbubble that we all bought, which was very counterproductive if you think about it, but still fun. I do know that they had extreme and extensive takedown policies in the last few years, which again kicked off sellers and took down products. I'm not going to say if that was a good thing or a bad thing, because a lot of the things that they were taking down were copyright infringements. But again, if you're looking for that kind of stuff, which still exists on Redbubble, you had less to go on. Another main issue was the fact that a lot of customers were complaining about bad customer service or slow customer service. I do remember their customer service from about 4 years ago, which has been amazing, but now not so much. And there have also been concerns in the community of the buyers of Redbubble that pretty much everything looks the same now because everybody's just hopping on the same trend and the same keywords. And at the same time, they can't really find what they want because the platform seems spammed with irrelevant things for keywords. So think about it. I'm wearing now a sweatshirt that says practice makes faster. If this would be a tag that is popular on Redbubble, many creators, many sellers are going to design irrelevant things but tag them with this. So if I want to find a sweatshirt that says practice makes faster and I go to Redbubble and I find a bunch of irrelevant things, why would I come back? And I do remember this when it was the trend of just a girl who likes volleyball. I typed in just a girl who likes volleyball in the purpose of making a video to show you the different designs that people made, and 50% of the results that I found were irrelevant, and several of them were adult content positions, photos from 50 Shades of Grey, not marked as mature content. So if you think about it, if you go on a platform and you search for a t-shirt for someone who likes volleyball and you end up looking at pornography, why would you come back? And because I'm coming from the world of affiliates first and print on demand second, they have reduced affiliate commissions. I still remember when they were emailing people, instead of 10%, you're now going to get 2. Why would I affiliate Redbubble? Moving on to statistics about Society6, and I cannot get the smile off of my face because I do not want to cry. Society6 has been my first print-on-demand entry point in 2017. I have loved their product and consistency, and in the past year and a half, I have seen them basically shoot themselves in the foot and in the foot of their sellers and buyers multiple times. So let's have fun with Society6, starting with September of 2024 with 1.9 million views, October 1.67 million views, November 1.7. Notice we are less than September. December 2024 with 1.8 million views. Again, less than September. And for those of you who know the news, you would know why, but I'll say it in a second. January, 1.4 million views. February, 1.23 million views. Such a big fall. March, 1.29 million views. April, 1.17 million views. And let's, for the fun of it, show this graph comparing it to April of 2022 with 5.2 million views. If we made jokes about Zazzle having double the traffic in April 2022 than they had in December of 2024, here we have what? Triple less? 3 times less. And there are a lot of reasons for that, mostly because Society6 sucks. I think I made several videos about that. I think it was around November of the year before that they have announced their pay-to-play model. So if you want to sell on Society6, you currently have to pay. There were a lot of people who got pissed off on that and then left the platform. And then there were a lot of people who stayed and paid the amount needed, only to find out that no one is being kicked out of the platform, and they got upset and they left as well. 2 months after the change was supposed to come into effect, it actually came into effect, and it looked like people have calmed down a little bit. But fast forward to end of September, beginning of October 2024, Society6 started glitching at the most important time of shopping of the year because they were redoing their entire platform. During that time, no one could have uploaded any listings. The system was incredibly buggy, and I'm not just talking about frustration from sellers, I'm talking about frustration from buyers because all of your previous orders were deleted, and the favorite option that people were favoriting things to come back and buy them on Christmas was gone as well. Basically being the ultimate Grinch and killing off Christmas. And if we have to add insult to injury, about a few months ago, they emailed all of their sellers that they're pretty much kicking all of the sellers, including the ones who were paying, to become a more collective vision, coherent vision, customized, whatever. I don't know. To have like a line of products that they choose to design. A lot of the products that they are selling are products that Society 6 has brought up and patterns that they have brought up and not actual sellers. There have been huge chaos about this, on top of the fact that for a brief amount of time they actually stopped worldwide shipping, and I don't think anyone is very much interested in their services anymore. Moving on to Fine Art America, and I feel like people think it's one of the oldest print on demand platforms there. I'm not going to discuss its seniority, but the website does look old. And with Fine Art America, we're talking about September 2024, 3.24 million views, October 3.34 million views, November 3.48 million views, December 3.82, January 3.6, February we have 3.39 million views, March 3.5 million views, and April of 2025 with 3.06 million views. And let's share my favorite part in these split screen graphs. April 2022 with 6.2 million views, almost double the amount of views that they had in the peak season of December 2024. Now, what is happening with Fine Art America? Fine Art America hasn't modernized any part of their website, and they haven't changed their marketing strategy or user experience in years. They have very limited social media, and they actually have very few influencers talking about them. There is a very good reason why videos I made about Fine Art America from 4 years ago are still getting loads of traffic, because almost no one is talking about Fine Art America. They have a heavy reliance on a very small collector base rather than broadening their appeal to a larger audience with more products. On top of the fact that their shipping costs are redonkulous. And this is not a tariff thing or things relating to the increase in gas prices in the last 2 years. I'm telling you this from about 3 or 4 years ago when I wanted to order a puzzle from Fine Art America to Bulgaria and found out that for the very simple puzzle, the very small one, I will be paying $35 for shipping. That is almost the amount of money for the actual puzzle, and shipping from that platform is incredibly expensive. But I'm not going to talk too much about Fine Art America. I do have a lot more to cover up, so we're going to speed things up a little bit and move on to Displate. For those of you who don't know, Displate is an amazing company that basically does one thing, and those are displates. Those are metal posters. They're incredibly branded, which is why we might have a different look in this graph. In September 2024, Displate had 3.99 million views. Moving on to October with 4.16, November with 5.78 million, December 7.02 million views. That is good. January 5.1 million, February 3.84 million, March 3.87 million, and April of 2025 with 3.65 million. And if I have to look at their statistics from April 2022, it was 4.5 million. So if we are looking at April 2022 versus April 2025, the dip that we're seeing is not that massive. And for the first time, we are actually seeing a platform that managed to get more traffic in November, December, and January of this current year or previous year versus April of 2022. And I do think that there are several reasons for that. One of the main reasons is the fact that on Displate, buyers, visitors, viewers can actually buy branded items. For example, if I'm not mistaken, the FC Barcelona, I think they have like Star Wars things, and these are official merch. No seller, no individual designer is getting paid for that. Now, they are a one product show, basically just providing displays. But last year they have launched Textra, which are metal posters with texture and 3D effects, which was a pretty big game changer for this industry. One more thing that I can say for Displate is the fact that the commissions for the artists are actually pretty interesting in how they're laid out. So Zazzle and Redbubble, we can decide our own merge, and never mind the tier system of Redbubble. Society 6, which I forgot to say, pretty much topped everything in 10% commission and some of the items at 5. Teepublic lowered everything, but with Displate, you do have the commission that you get if someone just goes into Displate and finds one of your posters, but you get 50% commission if you brought that sale on your own, which is a huge incentive for sellers. Now, Displate has been a free to register marketplace for many, many years, and I think it was around 3 years ago or 4 years ago that they have decided to stop. You can no longer just openly enroll into their platform. You will have to get pre-approved, but they have changed it a few months ago, getting more sellers into their platform. Good job for Displate. I feel like Displate was like the only company that changed something for the better in the last 3 years. Moving on to Teepublic, September 7.83 million views, October 7.01 million, November 8.59 million. That is interesting. December 10.23 million views, a dip in January as expected with 6.72, February 6.06 million views, March 6.36 million views, and April 2025 with 6.16 million views. And let's look at our graph from April 2022, which we have 7.6 million views. We are seeing a company that in November and December managed to get more traffic than April 2022, which is not unexpected. Again, these are December and November statistics. They're supposed to be higher, but we are seeing a smaller dip since then. And what has changed in Teepublic in the last years? Well, Teepublic was acquired by Redbubble in 2018. This is not a factor that should factor into this because it happened a while before. But they did make a severe change in their tier system to basically 2 tiers and cut off commissions for so many people on their platform. And I feel like here something that really changed or really happened was because they were doing this change after the tier system of Redbubble and after all of the other things, a lot of people didn't really go into Teepublic to delete any of their listings. And I feel like Teepublic was also a platform known from the beginning that if you don't bring in your own traffic, then they're not going to promote you. So I do know, especially in the YouTuber community, a lot of people were talking about bringing in your own traffic to Teepublic to begin with. We don't have this massive dip in sales, but they are going down like pretty much everywhere else because also creators just promote less in these years. Because why would I promote something if I'm going to make $2 from selling a hoodie when it's on sale? Last but not least, we have Etsy, which is not a print-on-demand marketplace per se, but it was included in the initial Zazzle video from 2022, so I'm going to put it here now. I'm not going to read all the 400 whatever prices on the screen, but this is the screenshot for September 2024 till April of 2025. We can see almost 500 million visits in December of 2024. And if I'm comparing it to April 2022, it was almost identical to April 2025, which I feel this is a bit odd to show these statistics, but I feel like Etsy has been a platform, like they've tried to do so many different things and they've changed so much. They added the gifts to people feature in their app and they had all of these promotions, whether it's good publicity or bad. So seeing the same exact statistics kind of makes me feel like something is staggering there. But again, this is not just print on demand. We're also talking about printables. And I do feel like a lot of people have been selling more and more junk on Etsy lately. They did implement the entrance fee that you have to pay $15 to open a shop. And I'm curious to see how this progresses because I'm going to continue gathering statistics about these platforms. Now, one thing that I do want to share with you guys is a quick look to the marketplaces that we had in 2022 versus 2025. We're talking about April here. So you can definitely see the change between Zazzle, a major dip from 17 to 6.42. Redbubble, major dip as well. Society 6, just killed the platform already. Fine Art America, about half. Displate, not that big of a difference, and Teepublic, not as big of a difference as well. And if you want to get some perspective in life, here are how these platforms look compared to Etsy. Yes, I was having a lot of fun with Canva graphs this morning. And one thing that I do have to show you in a graphs here is sessions versus revenue. And I found these statistics to be really, really cool. Sessions, how many people basically log in and do stuff? I don't know how to explain sessions. It's very early in the morning when I'm filming this. Basically, if I go in as a visitor and I view a few pages and then I log out, that would be a session versus revenue. And these are statistics for March 2025. Now, for each one of these platforms, the left bar is for sessions and the right bar is for revenue. And as you can see consistently, other than Redbubble, in all of the platforms, there is less sessions than revenue, as it should be. With Zazzle having the biggest impact with 7 million sessions and 37.4 million revenue. And with Redbubble, we are talking about 15.9 sessions and 10.5 million in revenue for March 2025. If you want, take a screenshot of this page just for fun, but I am going to move along to something that I like to look at best, which is conversion rates. Conversion rate, for those of you who don't know, is basically what percentage of the people who come into the platform convert into buyers, become buyers. And what I found to be extremely surprising is that the highest conversion rate that we had in March 2025 was in Society 6, 3.5% conversion rate, which is not that big, by the way, but it is the biggest one here. Second place with Fine Art America, huge surprise, 2.5 to 3% conversion rate. Then we have Teepublic and Zazzle with 2.5% conversion rate. We have Displate with 1.5 till 2% conversion rate, and Redbubble with the lowest conversion rate out of all the platforms at between 1 and 1.5%. Last but not least, again, I was really having fun with charts, is the average order value in US dollars for each and every one of these platforms. And just have a look. So I used two graphs to show the fact that, for example, with Redbubble, we have between $50 and $75 US dollars average per sale. And that's pretty much the same amount as Teepublic and the same amount as Etsy. Now, between $75 and $100 per sale, we have Society 6 and Displate. Note, Displate sell metal posters. Society 6 have a lot of furniture. Fine Art America, between 100 and 125 average order value. And Zazzle, 225 till 250 average order sale. I'm going to put all of these statistics in the newsletter, in our Substack newsletter tomorrow. So if you just don't want to take screenshots of the screen right now, all you have to do is visit the link down below and subscribe to the Substack, and you'll get all of these statistics, all of my pretty graphs directly to your mailbox. But we're not done yet. I do love statistics, and thank you so much for bearing with me with all these numbers. I know that for a lot of people, maybe this is the less interesting part, but I am a big fan of numbers, and especially trying to make conclusions from these numbers. So I want to move on to some general reasons why I think the traffic changed, not just specific things relating to a specific marketplace. And of course, what can we do about it? But before I move on to that, I would like to kindly ask you that if you like this video or found this content useful, please hit the like button down below, because every time you do that, YouTube thinks, hey, this is a really cool video. I'm going to show it to more people, and it really does support my channel. I'm going to move on to reasons why I think that there has been this decline in marketplaces, because we haven't seen the same crazy decline in all of them, but we have seen significant decline. And this is without me analyzing other print-on-demand marketplaces, which is one of the reasons why there is a low, because more print-on-demand marketplaces are opening up. The more people try to diversify, the more people have options, the less people use each one. And I don't think that it's just about the diversification in me being able to sell on Teepublic or Cafe Press or whatever. I think that it's just been this shift from I have one market or one marketplace that I'm selling on, and I'm promoting my work as an artist on that marketplace, towards, oh, I'm just going to take one design, slap it into 15 different marketplaces and see what goes, without bringing in my own traffic. And when we don't bring in our own traffic, one, we reduce our sales potential, and two, the platform gets less sales or less visitors, which is what we've seen. I feel like there has been a major hype around the end of 2020 and still in 2021 when it came to the world health crisis. It's been like more than 5 years now. It's insane. But I don't think that this affects as much for 2022. I think that there is a lot of change in the last few months because of the increasing costs of petrol and the increasing costs, therefore, of shipping. I think that we also need to take into account the fact that more and more people are wanting to sell on each platform. So what does it mean that we're seeing less visits in general? One of the things that I really did notice, and I hopefully you guys have noticed as well, is that we had a shift to what we call social commerce, where people can just buy from you from TikTok or from Instagram or even YouTube Shelf. And I do know a lot of companies who have been trying to stay in the game. I think Teepublic connected to YouTube Shelf a while back, but there have also been easier and easier services for people to start their own shop. And I'm not talking about Shopify or WooCommerce or Squarespace or whatever, because those have already existed. Yes, they've gotten better. Some of them have gotten more expensive, like Squarespace and Shopify. But I'm not just talking about these platforms. I'm talking about platforms like Tmill and Fourth Wall that are designated for mostly content creators, and they make things super easy to just set up a shop and sell. Incredibly easy, incredibly fast, and in most cases, even for free. And again, when we choose to operate on our own stores and divert the traffic there, we become little by little, one by one, a competition for these big marketplaces, for their traffic, for their ad revenue. We are also talking about inflation pretty much in every country in the world, and I think that it does and doesn't affect print on demand prices. And I have seen actually kind of like reversed results with a lot of people who are selling like simple t-shirts and stuff like that. They have seen a dip in sales when it comes to rising costs of goods and people having less money to spend. But with sellers that I know who sell things like chiffon fabrics or really high end print on demand products who sell them for hundreds of dollars, they're not actually seeing any change, because I don't want to sound cynical, but people with less money start to think twice, should I buy this or should I not? And people with more money are not thinking the same. And those people with more money are not going to spend $20 on a t shirt. They would rather spend $300 on a curtain or something like that. SEO has also changed a lot, and the way that we run ads has also changed a lot. We are seeing decline in affiliate blogs because SEO just doesn't work the same anymore because AI kind of replaced it. I'm not talking to you about the fact that anyone can just fart an SEO article using ChatGPT. I'm talking to you about the fact that people are no longer searching things with Google SEO. And I will probably make a separate video about that because that is a concept that I really, really am deeply interested in. I've been doing SEO for over a decade now. But just to make things a little bit more clear, one of the main tactics that I used many years ago to get traffic to any one of my shops or to my affiliate links was by having a blog that talks about a topic. So let's say that the topic is dog health, and you search on Google things relating to what your dog is allowed to eat and not allowed to eat. You enter hopefully my website, and on the sidebar there are products for dogs that I'm either selling or affiliating. But now people ask ChatGPT that. They don't even come to blogs. And I am planning a video about that, as well as a video on how to solve the value information that ChatGPT cannot give people. So subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more deep dives about analytics, statistics, tools, or whatnot. A lot of the platforms we're talking about have reduced their marketing budget, and I feel like a lot of times it's really hard for a big company to change based on SEO algorithms or what works in terms of marketing. It's much harder as a very big brand to make these changes rather than in a small brand. One thing that I don't have to mention as well is the mockups. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but this was a big topic, if I'm not mistaken, in 2017, and it was called banner blindness. It's basically someone goes into your website, they kind of ignore the Google ads that they see because they got so much used to seeing them. And I feel like we're starting to experience some kind of mock-up blindness when it comes to the big print-on-demand marketplaces, when it's just not enough, the mockups that we see on Redbubble, especially Teepublic, that don't have people in their mockups. And I feel like the mockup world has improved so much with Placeit, with Canvy, with even Canva itself, and with people designing their own mockups. So again, you can see these small shops that are, of course, very small compared to like Redbubble or Zazzle, but they have their own mockups, and their mockups are more unique and they draw more attention and even show how, clothes fit on the body for multiple body types, which we don't see in the traditional marketplaces. So maybe that could be a reason as well. Last but not least, as the reason, I wrote the rise of AI. And I don't mean, again, the fact that people go to ChatGPT to ask questions so they're not in blogs. I mean the fact that now anyone can just make designs. And this is not a problem in the sense of me coming as a designer and saying, oh, anyone can just, go to your diagram and design a bunch of stuff that would take me like an hour to do on Procreate myself or day. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that we are seeing a flux of people with no concept, with no idea, with no knowledge of design, of color theory, of design placement, creating designs made with AI and putting them on products wrong, putting them on products and making it not look good, upscaling an AI made design wrong, and therefore the print is going to come off wrong. And if you're going to go to Redbubble and order a t-shirt or to Teepublic and you're going to get a very bad and blurry design, you're not going to think to yourself, "Ooh, that seller must have, upscaled it wrong or didn't know what they were doing when they were taking a design to print." You're going to blame Redbubble. Maybe you're going to get a refund, maybe you're not, but I don't think you're going to shop there anymore because the supervision on this doesn't really exist. And I still remember this from Fine Art America, even when I tried uploading things that I knew are not going to be in good pixel ratio, they're going to look pixelated. There was no feedback from the system that told me that I did something wrong. And these designs that are poorly printed or poorly placed are flooding the market. I remember looking at some shower curtains in Redbubble and literally seeing the entire shower curtain and there's like a tiny photo in the middle. If I go as a potential buyer to this platform and this is what I see, I'm not going to stay there. So I'm not saying that designing with AI is a bad or good thing. We are not touching on this topic right now. If you want me to make a separate video about that, let's do that. But I am saying that it doesn't matter what tool I'm using or you're using. If you don't know what to do with it, it's going to come off crap. And I can tell you the same thing about people who are creating SEO blog posts using ChatGPT because I have read posts that I know were written by AI because I can also spot mistakes that the AI has made. Same with designs, same with everything. And the rise of AI hasn't just made it easier for bad designers to create bad products. The rise of AI has also made it easier for anyone sitting at home to design their own stuff. And actually, in a lot of cities around the world that I know, whether it's from the cost of gas, from the cost of shipping, or the rise of AI, a lot of my friends have reporting people becoming more aware of that little print shop around the corner where you can get a mug for your mom, or you could get a custom t shirt printed. And either the shop owner is using AI or you're giving them your AI used creations. And that actually kind of makes me happy to think about the fact that, those small shops are getting traction again. But yeah, I feel like those are most of the reasons. If you can think of more reasons why we're seeing changes in the statistics of the marketplaces, or you have any thoughts about this video, feel free to comment these thoughts and insights down below in the comment section. I love reading your comments and I'm trying to get better at answering all of them, I promise. And last but not least, we have the lessons, or where do we go from here? Which I cannot say that sentence without thinking about that Buffy episode. But okay, what do we do? Do we just open our own shops? First of all, my instinct is to tell you yes, that has always been my instinct. But for those of you who are just starting out, or maybe you don't have a budget and you don't really know what you're doing, I still think that the best use of a print-on-demand marketplace is to get a mock-up or a product that is purchasable very quickly, very easily, so then you can use these products to learn marketing. And I don't think that coming into these platforms, Redbubble or Teepublic or whatever, just to experiment with multiple niches is the concept. I do think that what you should have is an Instagram account or Pinterest or whatever, or website that refers people to this, that gathers people from that niche, that gathers an audience. Because if I had an Instagram account that I'm growing on a specific niche just to see how it goes, and maybe another one to see a different niche, and I'm referring to Teepublic or to Redbubble, eventually when that account grows, and I made a few sales and saw what designs work and what don't, I will open my own shop and all I have to do is just change the link in the bio. And then my audience is going to go elsewhere to me. That is the goal. So whether you're starting with a marketplace or starting with your own shop, I really want you to think about the fact that you can either do this for fun, you can either decide, I'm just going to explore, maybe I'll learn something, or you're thinking in your head, I am going to be a brand. I'm going to have a brand message. I'm going to have a branding name and design and concept. And I'm going to stand for something and I'm going to be known for something. And I'm going to have an audience that knows what to expect when looking at my website, at my blog, at my Substack publication, on my Instagram, on my TikTok, on my YouTube channel, or shopping from my store. I feel like one of the main things that come up in a lot of my videos or conversations with viewers or comments or even in our Facebook group is the fact that I don't think that print on demand for most people should be a standalone thing. Yes, you can open a Shopify store and you can put in a lot of money on marketing and a lot of money on your branding, but I never saw this as a viable way because I never thought it was safe enough. Even if I do all this work and I do succeed, what happens if the supplier changes everything on me? What happens if the specific type of merch is no longer viable or searchable or people don't want it anymore? So for me, print on demand was always a slice of the pie. It was always about having a niche. It was always about creating content that can get monetized and then having, a blog where you can use affiliate links and you can sell digital files as well as print on demand. It was always a piece of the pie. And that is what I'm working on right now. I have a new niche in mind. I recently made a video about writing a book or publishing books, and I'm starting my book series because it's going to be one piece of the pie. I'm also going to have a Substack account for that niche, which we'll have a tutorial on really, really soon, a YouTube channel for that niche, an Instagram account for that niche, a fourth wall shop and website for that niche. And I feel like that is just the better way of doing things, by having the topic that can have multiple things in it, that can develop into multiple things. So it's not just about, I'm not going to rely on a marketplace. I'm not going to rely on print on demand as a selling technique or as my main thing. That's just what I like to do. As this video is coming to an end, I'm going to put two links on the screen right now. The first one is pretty much what you can do with your business with ChatGPT. Brainstorm ideas. If you have multiple niches in mind, try to see how you can develop a niche into different marketing avenues or different products, as well as design and branding. And the second video is a deeper dive into what I feel about print on demand specifically. But with that being said, that was it for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new or were at least entertained. And as usual, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!